Hey everybody, welcome to Better Man Tobacco. I'm going to be reviewing the Plasencia Cosecha 149. This is a Honduran Puro from one crop. That's what the Cosecha means. I have had this cigar before. Sorry, I'm moving a little fast. I'm excited. So I have had this cigar before on the live with Johnny OCD on his channel. You can go find that on his channel. If you look under his live tab, you should be able to find it pretty quick. This has been stored at 65%. I had it before last time at 69%, and I wanted to see if the humidity made a big difference, a small difference, whatever it did, you know? Smells beautiful, beautiful chocolate. A little bit of that wood, earth, that's stereotypical of Honduran tobacco. But yeah, this wonderful chocolate smell on it. Bring out the V cutter. I'm gonna see if I can set this up a little better. That's good enough. All right. It's a little rainy, a little gloomy Wednesday afternoon here in California. Beautiful draw. Beautiful. I mean, chocolate, milk chocolate on the tongue. On the cold draw. Now let's see if we can pick this up with some good lighting. Initial light up. Some of that chocolate still on the front of the tongue. Let's see about this retrohale. Wood, earth. You know, off the first couple of puffs, not too different, but noticeably more full. Flavor-wise, the notes are roughly the same. But those little nuances are a little more full, a little more aggressive. Bunch of black pepper, especially through the retro, a little bit on the palate. Very well rounded. I don't know how they do this. I've had the 151. 151's fantastic. The 149's fantastic. I haven't had the 141, but I've heard that it's the least favorite of the blend of the series, and that kind of distinct Honduran tobacco taste is really what this exemplifies, and what can be done with Honduran tobacco. I think that this is a great example of the complexity that can be done with a single crop if it's done well enough, if it's fermented well enough, if it's aged well enough. I think this is a beautiful example of that. Just like Plasencia is a beautiful example of how tobacco can be grown. I mean, it's wonderful. I enjoy it a lot. I'm not as big of a fanatic of Plasencia, and maybe that's because I just haven't had their flagship blends. I really haven't. I haven't had the Alma Fuertes. I haven't had the any of the Alma del Fuego, any of the Alma anything. I haven't had anything from that line. So I definitely could be missing out on Plasencia. A little bit of wavy burn, probably how I toasted it, how I lit it up. Nothing you can do about that. I'm hoping that it'll fix itself, and if it doesn't, I'll touch it up. I'm not gonna knock it for that. On this wrapper here, I don't know if you see this, and I don't know if this is characteristic of all Plasencias or all Cosecha 149s, but it's a little spotted, if you see that. And I don't know what that is, or if that's just how they are. I really didn't pay too much attention to detail when I was smoking it with Johnny. It was more of just to hang out and go live and have a good time. But as this is developing, as I'm getting over the initial light up, that initial pepper, that pepper kind of is more substantial almost. It really kind of hits in those back of the sinuses. It's very full. It's a full-bodied cigar. The smoke output is amazing. The smoke texture is creamy. Not super. It's almost. Let me give you a scale. So there's super light, arid smoke. There's kind of that medium-bodied, medium density. There's super dense, creamy smoke, and this is somewhere in between the medium body and the super dense. It's almost buttery. That's how I would describe it, is buttery, is in between that. So it has a very nice buttery finish. It has a great mouthfeel. Ooh. Getting almost an oakiness through the retro that is beautiful. Oh, that's a good retro. I'm gonna end up smoking this thing a little too fast, just because it's very, very good. Dang, no, that's good stuff. Hopefully soon I'll be able to review the a couple of other cigars. I want to review soon the Ferriotego Sterling, because I really want to get into the Ferriotego blends. Michael Herklotz has me and many other cigar smokers captivated, and I really want to try what he has to offer, and what he has to say about cigars and them making them the special occasion, those types of things. I'm very excited for. Plasencia is like, just in comparison, is like is a very unique brand, where it is class and elegance, and it's almost it's by cigar smokers for cigar smokers. I think that there's kind of a stigma, I want to say, around like companies like Padron or Fuente, and that's like the highbrow, right? That's the, oh, you need a Plasencia, you need a Padron, you need a Arturo Fuente, you need an Opus X. And I think this within the category that it's in, I mean, the 18 to 25-ish dollar price range with their blends, and they just do them fantastically. I mean, I've never met a person who's been like, oh yeah, I hate Plasencia. I know people that hate a specific one of their cigars, but like as a brand, they've tried all the cigars and they've just like hated every single one of them. And I know there are brands like that. I know there are brands that have more bad cigars than good ones. But Plasencia is not one of those brands. Maybe it's not for everybody. I know Eric over at Smoke One If You Have One has smoked this, and he did not like it. He did not like this cigar at all. Was that the 149 or the 151? I'll have to double check. But I know there was a Plasencia, and I know it was a Cosecha, and I know he hated it. And I was like, it's just proof that palates are different. Sometimes people hate things. I enjoy this. I mean, a beautiful a flavorful retrohale. If you're not retrohaling this cigar, you're not getting everything that you could out of it. I mean, it's good. It's a good, solid, great stick for an afternoon, especially a gloomy afternoon like this. Really brightens up the day, no matter how unbright the clouds are. And yeah, oh my gosh, that's a really good retrohale. Plenty of black pepper. Those wood and earth nuances are, they're right there behind it, chasing it. Beautiful wrapper sweetness, great sweetness on the palate, almost like a cocoa powder chocolate sweetness. It's really good. The cold draw is almost never the same as the cigar itself. So don't judge a cigar on the cold draw. But I do wish there was some of that, genuinely really, really sweet, those really, really sweet notes. Those sweet tobacco almost reminds me of it's a chocolate, but it's like chocolate tobacco. It's like the can't think of it right now, but whatever. I can't think of it. I can't think of it at all. Brain's completely blank. But it had that like milk chocolatey sweetness, that milk chocolatey tobacco sweetness that I'm starting to get a little bit of on the tip of the tongue, but I want it to be more full on the palate like it was on the cold draw, where it's just, it coated the palate, and it was on a cold draw, which is insane. So yeah, I think I'm going to smoke through this a little bit. I'm going to get probably halfway through the first third. A little curvy burn line, but nothing that I think will inhibit the overall experience. Get about halfway through the first third. If there's any changes or any updates or anything crazy, I'll let you guys know. I want more suggestions. And I know not a lot of people watch it. Nobody watches this. Nobody's probably even watching this far, right? But it's already been 13 minutes, so nobody's probably even getting here. But if you are, I want suggestions. I want to find new, random, it could be some flagship blend out from the middle of nowhere that's some boutique brand that they don't sell here, and I want to try and find a way to get it. I think it's really important, and soon I'm going to be doing more reviews on more boutique blends, more things that you can't really get your hands on, not necessarily because it's rare, but because it's really unique. And I want to highlight those blends. I want to highlight those good blends. I know that there's a cigar called the Bloodline OPA Maduro, and I know they sell it here, but I don't think it's not a major brand. It's not a major label. It's not a, it's not a Plasencia. It's not an Arturo Fuente. It's not a, it's not a Padrones, nothing like that. It's not well known. And they're $9 and they produce amazing linear flavor. And like I said, it's linear, and I've had it before, and I know what the flavors are, and I know what I'm going to be picking out. I know what I'm going to find. But I mean, like that type of cigar, I mean, that's what I would hand to a beginner. A cigar like this, I don't think I would. Smoke's getting a little more light, a little more arid in texture. Still a nice mouthfeel though, a nice buttery mouthfeel. Some of that, more of that sweet chocolate mixing with that wood, those wood nuances. It's really good. Yeah, there's definitely more complexity in this than a cigar like that, where it's very linear. But I wouldn't hand this to a beginner, because there's gonna be some notes in there. I mean, even I am tasting some notes in there. Some of those some of those earth notes that are not as noticeable, and I'd say it's like a subtle earth. There's a subtle earthiness to it, but it just makes the blend richer. It's that richness at the bottom, at the back of the palate, and that's something that, at least in general, would be a turnoff to a new cigar smoker, someone who's never smoked a cigar. And then there's some cigars where it's like a very simple, like just the most basic cigar. It has 2 notes, but it does those 2 notes so well, so incredibly well, and that's all you taste. And that's something that a cigar smoker experienced cigar smokers like those cigars too occasionally, but a beginner cigar smoker, I mean, they're gonna love it. They're gonna love those. They're not gonna get all the gritty nuances. They're not gonna get all the, the oak and the whatever, and the pepper, and they're not gonna understand that those notes make the blend better not only because of the flavor, but also because of the complexity of the flavor and how hard that is to do with just dried tobacco. So yeah, I want suggestions more than anything. Like I said, I've been rambling on for forever. I have a tendency to do that. I did it in my last video. I got a DM from Johnny, and he DMs me. He goes, "Where are the rules of the budget brawl?" I'm like 4 minutes in. It's like, well, I kind of ramble a lot. I talk a lot before I get to my point, and I talk in circles, and it just happens. It's just kind of, and I know he gets it because he does the same thing. He does the whole rambling thing. Like I said, I'm gonna smoke through this. I'm gonna get probably, I want to say like right here-ish. I want to get into the kind of the middle, the meat of it, at least of the first third, and I want to see how it develops into the second third. So I'll be back. I'll be back for more, and I'll give you an update if there's any significant changes, if there's anything crazy going on, anything new, anything interesting. So yeah, I will see you guys pretty soon. Hey everybody. About down in the middle of the first third, probably coming in on the second third a little bit. Not any significant changes really. Really strong pepper's picking up. Excuse me. Pepper's picking up. Chocolate, a little bit more baking spice. I'm getting a little nutmeg, maybe a little hazelnut in there. Smoke texture is getting more, definitely more along the lines of that buttery texture. Great cigar. I didn't really appreciate this cigar as much as I should have while I was on live. Great cigar. Plenty of that chocolate coming in. Plenty of those cedar, oak, wood nuances coming in. Like I said, maybe a little bit of nuttiness with the hazelnut. More of that baking spice. Not much else to say about that. Now, I want to go back, because I had the 151 on live too, and I want to go back and get another 151, and I don't know if they're sold out or if they got any more distribution yet, or where that might be in that, where we might be in that process. So I'm looking at it. I'm gonna try and find a 151, let it rest, and then come out here and smoke it, because if I didn't appreciate this one, I definitely didn't appreciate that one as much as I should have either. That pepper's nice. I mean, it's not super overpowering, it's not super stinging back to the sinuses, but it's there, it's present, and you feel it. And it's very, very nice. The very nice pepper, very nice flavor on the tongue. Very smooth, very balanced. I mean, incredible. Especially for the price this is at, it's incredible. Plasencia. Burn line kind of fixed itself. Still a little bit wavy, but nothing crazy. But yeah, no, incredible. Nice solid ash. Ashing your cigars. A lot of that depends on construction, right? If it's a really good constructed cigar, depending on how well packed it is, it's gonna hold a nice long ash. Do I think that it matters whether or not you hold on to your ash? Not necessarily. The flavor for me does not change whether I have ash, whether I have no ash. There's no real flavor differences. Still a wonderful spice. I see where people come into the idea that it is insulating, because potentially some cigars have more of that pepper and more of that spice when they ash, just because there's less airflow, or there's less insulation to the airflow. I don't really subscribe to that notion. Maybe a little bit depending on the cigar, at least on this one. Flavors both on the palate and through the retro stay the same. Still plenty of that black pepper, plenty of that cedar nuances. I do wish the chocolate would kick up a little bit more, because right now it's almost like a dry cocoa powder, and which I enjoy the flavor of. I think, at least with like food and everything, because like a lot of it's comparable to smells and tastes and different things. I don't like the taste of cocoa powder as much, but I think it's more of a texture thing, because in cigars I love that taste. I think it's great. I just think it should be more sweet. Especially if you're gonna go with like a cocoa powder nuance. I think that should be the predominant sweetness if you're gonna go with it, unless there's another sweetness that's more important. If you're trying to get like a nice, baking spice sweetness, that nutmeg and that cinnamon and that little bit of, that the almost Christmassy sweetness to it, where it's not necessarily sweet, but it's sweet because it's, you know, it's associated with sweet things. And you have a cocoa powder nuance in there, and it's just added, that's great. But if cocoa powder is supposed to be your relying sweetness, then cocoa powder should be the predominant sweetness, and that's just how it should be within most cigars. That's just how it should be. So I'm going to probably smoke through until I hit about this band, and then take off the band, and I'll come back in a minute. So very good, very full, very very complex, and I think that complexity with one crop is super impressive. It's just an impressive cigar. It's an impressive feat to have a cigar that comes from one crop, that comes from all Honduran tobacco, and not for it to taste exactly like every other Honduran Puro out there. And I think that's wonderful. I think Plasencia does a wonderful job about that. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna probably smoke to this band, and then I'll come back. So yeah, I'll see you in a second. Hey everybody. So down about the band here. I'm gonna start slipping them off. I fixed an issue I was having. I don't know if you noticed it in the last video. If you watched it, you probably did. Savior bands, as always, should be implied at this point. So I was having this issue with videos kind of cutting out on me, and not really going all the way through. Like I would record and all of a sudden it would just shut down. Well, I found the issue and I fixed it, so I shouldn't have that problem anymore. I should never have that problem again, hopefully. Like I said, there's a big learning curve for me, but I'm excited to continue on with it. Developments in this second third, and at the beginning of this final third. Plenty of spice through the retrohale. That kind of building on this more earthy coffee tones. That cocoa powder is kind of dulled into the background, but it's still very present. That baking spice is still there. That nutmeg is still there. That hazelnut's still there. That cedar is still there. The oak is still there. However, all of those nuances that I just mentioned, you can go back and watch, pick out all the nuances if you really fucking want to, are dull. They've kind of gotten this more relaxed feel. So like they're not very present, whereas before they were extraordinarily present, and they died out throughout that second third. But in this final third, very strong flavors of a little bit of coffee, a little bit more of the I don't want to say like a bad earth, but like a nice rich earth to it that is very pleasant. And I think that there's just, hold up. Yeah, just at the back of the palate, there's this very strong cedar wood nuance that's coming forward more, and I didn't think it would. I thought that the little bit of cedar that I was getting wouldn't build, and it did. Once again, very, very impressive, and I am genuinely more impressed with this cigar than I thought I would be, because when I smoked it on the live, I was like, oh, it's kind of linear, it's a little earthy, it's a little whatever. But, and I don't know if this is any indication, I might have to smoke a couple of different cigars in different humidities, but this could be an indication of that 65%, excuse me, being much more important than I thought it was. Smoke your cigars how you want them, but the difference between that 69% and this 65, and potentially because it's more humid, it just rained. Potentially because it's more humid, that might have something to do with it. The cigar is kind of in a better environment. It was a little bit drier when I smoked it the first time. That could definitely be a factor. However, at least direct comparison wise, this is much more flavorful and much more full bodied, much more full, or not full bodied, full flavored, and has a lot more of those strong, really deep flavors that I really like. I really enjoy them. I do enjoy more sweetness in these darker, bolder cigars, mostly because I expect there to be sweetness, and I think that's because it's all Honduran. In my opinion, it's because it's all Honduran. The Honduran tobacco leaf has less sweetness than I would normally enjoy. And I think that there's Maduro leaves that exemplify a darker, chocolatier, more pronouncedly sweet nuances that I do genuinely enjoy, especially in cigars that have a lot of that dark coffee and those dark, earthy nuances. But this, by no means, is a cigar that you should pass up in a shop, especially if you're more of a seasoned cigar smoker. Definitely pick one of these up, pick one of them up and enjoy it. See if you have some of the same experiences that I do. But yeah, definitely, in my opinion, a very, very good cigar. That I have not been paying enough attention to within my humidor. So, on that note, and I'm going to smoke down to the nub of it. I'm going to enjoy the rest of it. I hope that this cigar has more to offer. That it doesn't, fall flat. And I don't think it will. But I'm also not expecting any major flavor changes. So, I think, I know it's a little early. I still have basically a third to go. Actually, scratch that. I'm just gonna smoke it. I'm gonna smoke it with you guys. It's gonna be a little boring. It's probably gonna be a little long. The aromatics on this cigar, I wanna note that. The aromatics on this cigar are fantastic. I love how this thing smells, just outwardly smells. Oh my gosh, so good. Oh my gosh, so good. It smells so good. I want to get more of that baking spice, and I want to get more of that sweetness, and I'm hoping that that comes through on that final third, and I'm hoping that richness builds, and I'm hoping that that this cigar is constructed that way, and I would expect that from a company like Plasencia. Yeah, just a little bit arid. I might have to touch it up a little bit. I'm purging the cigar just to get a little more heat into the top of it. There we go, much better. I just wanted to build up the smoke output a little bit, and I find that purging your cigars tends to build out that smoke just a little bit more. Once again, fantastic flavor. Oh my gosh, there's so much more to this than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be kind of flat, just because that's the first time I smoked it. It was kind of flat. It was good, but it was just kind of flat. It was kind of earthy, and had those little bit of a, I don't know, a little bit of a more linear, more bland flavor to it, and I felt like I should be getting more, especially out of the Cosecha line, and especially out of Plasencia. I feel like I should be getting more, just because they've held high praises among the circles that I'm in, especially among the YouTube circles. People love Plasencia. Everybody loves Plasencia, most. most people, sorry, Eric, I don't know if you're gonna watch this, probably not, but if you do watch this, and if you watch this far, for fuck's sake, if you watch this far, I know you didn't like it, but most people love this cigar and love Plasencia as a whole. I really want to make a note of how this thing smells. I mean, just how it smells outwardly, how it smells building off of the cigar. I mean, what a beauty. I'll probably smoke halfway through this because I don't want to bore you. I don't want to talk too long. I'll probably smoke about here, wrap up the video, give you my final thoughts. I'll give you a little summary. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. If you watched this far, kudos to you. I really do, I mean, seriously appreciate it. Feel free to comment. And I know that if you're watching a video on a fucking Sunday and you're smoking a cigar with me, you don't really want to comment on the video. You're like, fuck yeah, I don't want to comment on it. Fuck that shit. Please, I really love the engagement. I want to build a kind of community where we can engage with each other and that we're not strangers, you know? That we're not estranged to each other. That I'm not just some floating head that's shouting shit at you. So anyway, I'm gonna get down to the brass tacks of the cigar and then head back and give you my final thoughts, and then it'll be over. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this cigar. I will see you in a minute. So, last bit of the cigar. Tell you what, flavors stayed constant, they stayed strong. It's getting a little spicier. I think that's because of the heat. Johnny, I hope that you watch till the end. Fucking doubt you will. This shit's gonna be long. But if you get here, if you get to this point, I'll do a little summary for anybody that just skipped through. Great flavor, first third. A lot of that cedar, a lot of that cocoa powder, a little bit of sweetness. A lot of wrapper sweetness, was delicious. Second third, a lot of that oak, a lot of more of that more earth nuance, more of that coffee, more of those like nutty baking spices, hazelnut, nutmeg, those types of things. And this final third, a lot of those flavors have kind of dulled out. A lot of those strong, earthy flavors are still present. A lot of those dark, richer flavors are present. Johnny, specifically, you, talking to you. And many of my viewers, if you don't know who Johnny is, go to Johnny OCD, subscribe to him. He's a great YouTuber. He's a great cigar reviewer. I think what he does is great. I'm kind of model my videos after him. You'll see that if you look at his. You like earth, man. I hate to say it. I just think you don't know what to call good earth versus bad earth. And I know you've gotten earth before, but earth is not dirt. Dirt is gross in cigars. And it happens in a lot of cigars. A lot of cigars pretend to have earth nuances. They have dirt. This has earth. And I mean richness. I mean bold, delicious richness. And I call that earth. Very deep, rich flavor, and the best way to describe it is earth, in my opinion. And I think you enjoy that nuance because I know you love Plasencia. I just think you don't know what to call it. No, it's a great, fantastic cigar, and the smells off of this thing are, it's almost floral with the with just the smoke that's coming off of it. Smoke output has been fantastic the entire thing. I had to touch it up once or twice, but that could be contributing, just not to overly defend Plasencia like Johnny does, but it could be just because I I burned it kind of incorrectly. I toasted it kind of incorrectly at the beginning. But it did correct itself multiple times. And I'm sure if I let it run long enough, it would have corrected itself just fine. I just didn't because I'm impatient. So, great cigar, fantastic cigar. Go smoke one. Incredible richness. I wish there was more sweetness on it. And you start to get that sweetness early on, but it doesn't really stay for very long. And I wish it did. So, neighbor's dog. And I wish it did. I wish it stayed for a little longer. And you got some of that rich sweetness out there that you could enjoy. So, anyway, I'm gonna. Hey! Hey! Well, there you go. I'm done with the cigar. I'm gonna put the dog inside. See ya.